Hello and welcome to Steady as She Goes, the podcast from the Rossiter Harbour Maritime Heritage Centre. It's Sean here, and it's great to have you with us for the very first episode of our new podcast. Steady as She Goes is a podcast all about maritime heritage, ships, harbours, and the people who live and work on and around the sea. Over the course of this series, we'll be speaking with people from all sections of the maritime world, both locally and beyond. From those with lifelong connections to Rossiter Harbour to voices from right across Ireland and further afield. We'll be looking at a wide range of maritime topics, including ships past and present, fishing, lifeboats, ports and harbours, coastal communities, maritime history, and the challenges and opportunities facing the maritime sector today. Along the way, we'll feature some books, bring you some interviews, and news from around the coast, sharing stories that reflect just how important the sea has been and continues to be to life in coastal communities. Whether you're a lifelong maritime enthusiast or simply someone with an interest in the sea, you're very welcome aboard. To any of you who don't know who we are or what we do, the Rossiter Harbour Maritime Heritage Centre was established in 2012 and officially opened on the 19th of October that year. The creation of the centre followed a series of highly successful maritime exhibitions, which clearly demonstrated the strong local appetite for preserving and sharing Rosslair's maritime story. One of the most memorable of those exhibitions focused on the heroic rescue of the Liberian registered tanker World Concord in 1954, an extraordinary operation carried out by the Rossiter Harbour lifeboat crew in extremely difficult conditions. That rescue remains one of the defining moments in the maritime history of this area and is still spoken about with pride today. The centre is operated by the Rosslair Harbour Maritime Enthusiasts, whose mission is to preserve and promote the maritime history and heritage of Rosslair Harbour, Wexford, Ireland, and beyond. Maritime history is a hugely important part of our very existence as a coastal community. Our harbours, ships, fishing grounds, and seafaring traditions have shaped livelihoods, culture, and identity for generations, and preserving that heritage is at the heart of everything we do here. The Rossiter Harbour Maritime Heritage Centre is home to a wide and ever growing collection reflecting maritime life locally and further afield. We have a large collection of maritime books covering everything from local maritime history to ships and shipping in Ireland and around the world. Many of these books are, of course, available for purchase, making the centre a great resource for anyone with an interest in the sea. There are also a number of excellent ship models on display, and we're planning a regular podcast feature called Model of the Month, where we'll take a closer look at some of these models and the ships they represent. On the walls, you'll find a superb collection of maritime paintings, including works for one of our own and founder member Brian Clare, as well as a vast array of maritime photographs. The centre also houses a wide range of fascinating maritime artefacts spanning many decades. These include RNLI medals and awards, items recovered from shipwrecks, and everyday objects connected with life at sea. We've been extremely fortunate over the years that people from all over have loaned us and donated to us so many interesting items, and we're very grateful for that generosity. The Rossiter Harbour Maritime Heritage Centre is open every Saturday from 12 noon to 1600, with tea and tabnabs often available. You can, of course, find all the latest updates about the group and the centre on our Facebook page. One of the main features of Steady as She Goes is a closer look at important maritime books, and we're delighted to begin with a truly outstanding publication. Irish Merchant Ships and Shipowners by Terry Conlon was launched recently by yours truly at Wexford Library and was very well received. This is a major work running to over 500 pages and it's packed with detail. It includes outstanding images by marine artists Brian Clare and Kenneth King, as well as a vast array of photographs, some very rare and up until recently unseen. What comes through so clearly in this book is just how vital shipping has been and still is to Ireland. As an island nation, more than 90% of everything we eat, wear, use, and consume arrives into the country by sea. The book also reminds us that this reliance on shipping has never been without risk. During wartime periods, Ireland came dangerously close to starvation, yet brave merchant seafarers continued to sail in extremely hazardous conditions, ensuring vital supplies reach Irish ports. Those men and women played a critical and often overlooked role in keeping the country fed and functioning during some of its darkest times. And Terry's book does an exceptional job of documenting that contribution. Terry, who resides in Skerries these days, spent many years in the marine insurance business. His depth of knowledge of ships, ship owners, and maritime trade is remarkable, and this book is clearly a labour of love built on years and years of research. We're delighted to say that the book was printed in Wexford, it's beautifully laid out, and is an essential reference for anyone with an interest in ships, shipping, or the sea. We're also delighted to say that Terry Conlon will be joining us as a guest on the podcast in the very near future to talk about the book. The book is, of course, available through the Rossiter Harbour Maritime Enthusiasts on Facebook and directly in person at the Rossiter Harbour Maritime Heritage Centre. Now for some news from around the coast. Off the Kerry coast near Dingle recently, the fishing vessel Fastnet ran aground close to the harbour entrance following engine failure. All crew were safely rescued by the Coast Guard helicopter, and while there were thankfully no injuries, the incident highlighted once again the risk faced by fishing vessels operating in and around our shores, particularly during poor weather. Across the Irish Sea, a similar incident occurred near Fishguard Harbour, where the guard vessel Resolute grounded on rocks just outside the harbour. Once again, all crew were accounted for, with no loss of life or injury, but the focus has quickly turned to pollution prevention and environmental protection. Much of the disruption in recent weeks has been driven by Storm Bram, which brought extremely strong winds and severe gale conditions to large parts of the Irish coast. There was some particularly dramatic footage online, including at Kilmore Quay, showing the full force of the storm as it battered the harbour and the coastline. Thankfully, despite the severity of the conditions, no major damage was sustained locally, around the county, or within the wider maritime sector. Storm Bram served as a timely reminder that with the current conveyor belt of Atlantic low pressure systems heading towards us, we are never far away from gales and bad weather. Turning to the ferry services, there have been ongoing delays and disruption across the Irish Sea, largely due to weather, refits, and infrastructure issues. On the Rosslare Fishguard route, the Stena Nordica has now returned to service following her period in dry dock in Birkenhead. While on the Rosslare Pembroke route, the Isle of Innisfree has also returned following her refit period. However, both services have suffered delays during recent storms and in particularly during Storm Bram. There also have been significant delays on the Dublin-Holyhead route. These have been compounded by the fact that Terminal 5 at Holyhead is currently out of action following heavy contact from a vessel, which caused some damage to the berth. It's not said to be as severe as the damage caused to T3 last year, and hopefully things will be back up and running shortly. As a result, there have been backlogs of freight traffic, creating challenges for hauliers and operators in particular, especially in the run-up to the busy Christmas period. We do, of course, pay tribute to the shore teams and the crews afloat for carrying on and getting things back on track as soon as possible. Further south at Milford Haven, it's proving to be an exceptionally busy time. As well as the normal oil trade, the port has handled a record number of LNG carriers this year, with over 100 LNG vessels handled already, and that figure is continuing to rise running up to the year end. Milford Haven has also been trialling its new pilot boat, currently known as NSG 24, with very positive feedback so far. The port has also been conducting helicopter trials for pilot transfers, underlying just how busy and operationally complex the port is at present. The new pilot boat is due in Q1 of 2026, where further trials will be carried out before she heads into service. As we turn to fishing news, there has been very concerning news for Ireland's fishing industry, with significant quota cuts agreed at EU level. These cuts are expected to have a major impact on fishing communities right around the coast, and we think of those areas close to Rosslare, such as Kilmore Quay, Arklow, and Dunmore East. Fishing is not just an industry, it's a way of life in many coastal communities. Both small inshore operators and larger offshore vessels will feel the effects of these decisions, with knock on impacts for processors, chandlers, transport operators, and of course, local economies. As an island nation, Ireland's relationship with the sea is fundamental, and the fishing community plays a vital role in food security, employment, and cultural heritage. We, of course, share the deep disappointment felt across the sector and recognise the challenges these quota reductions will bring. Closer to home, the Rossiter Harbour lifeboat, Severn class lifeboat, recently carried out joint training exercises with the Irish Coast Guard helicopter based at Waterford. According to all reports, the training went very well, and this, of course, is essential preparation, particularly heading into these winter months when conditions can be very challenging. There's some excellent Facebook page coverage of the exercise available to watch for anyone who'd like to take a look. Before we finish up for this inaugural podcast episode, it's time for our Maritime Words of the Week. This week we look at the phrase a monkey's fist. For anyone who doesn't know what a monkey's fist is, it's a very well crafted type of knot, traditionally tied at the end of a rope and used as a weight on a heaving line, making it easier to throw a line from a ship to shore or between vessels. It is, of course, illegal to tie nuts, bolts, or any other inventive things that ship's crews might think of to put on the end of a line to make it easier to throw. So, the monkey's fist is an accepted form, and as I say, a very skillfully crafted type of knot, normally used on mooring stations to transfer messenger lines and mooring ropes from ship to shore, ship to tugs, and vice versa. Here at the Rossiter Harbour Maritime Heritage Centre, we're very lucky to have a beautiful monkey's fist made by the renowned seafarer Donald Donoghue. It's on display here and well worth seeing when you call in. That just about brings us to the end of the first episode of Steady as She Goes. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting the work of the Rossiter Maritime Heritage Centre and the Rossiter Harbour Maritime enthusiasts. We look forward to welcoming you to the centre. Of course, we're open every Saturday from 12 noon to 1600, with tea and tab-nabs regularly available. And of course, you'll find us on Facebook for regular updates and news. Until next time, thanks for listening, and steady as she goes.
I sailed on the sloop John, my grandfather and me, around Nassau town we did it roam, drinking all night, got into a fight. Well, now I feel so great, I wanna go home. So hoist up the John D. sails, see how the mainsail sets. I called for the captain ashore, please let me go home.